Hey, everybody. It's Nathan.
Joseph here.
And we are rebranding the Cinema Transmission podcast.
Yeah, that name was whack.
That name was whack. It was a little crazy. Everyone kind of knew what it was. But this time, we're actually rebranding it to something that maybe long-time podcast listeners have heard us use in the past.
Long time.
When we had Sam Elliott on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the time when he wanted to rename it something?
Yep. So, from here on out, our one and only special guest, Sam Elliott, he helped us figure out the direction to take things in.
Honestly, he deserved that Oscar, and in honor of him, we're gonna deem our new podcast Whistling Dixies.
Whistling Dixies.
I got a defective one. Doesn't sound as good. I'm definitely not showing off. You need to go get yours soon eventually, but I don't know. I'm just fucking it up.
It's broken, man.
It's broken. But we're rebranding the podcast a little bit.
Yeah. Basically, instead of just kind of... I know before we kind of had it in sort of a broad concept for it, but now we're kind of narrowing things down a little bit. Basically, there was something I thought about recently about my personal love for when, just in general, just the blending of like high art and then low culture.
Yeah, of course.
And that just kind of led to this new idea where I just thought it would be fun if we could potentially see how the line between the two could maybe be blurred a little bit.
Yeah, and combine the two a little bit to see what kind of double feature, in a way, that develops from this low culture, high culture, low art, high art kind of aspect.
Yeah, because, all film is, considered to be art.
Mm-hmm. For the most part, the filmmakers are usually going for something good. Like, they're definitely have a mission in mind, generally.
Yeah, and even if they don't accomplish what they set out to do, the work can still be interesting. Yeah,
and admired for some aspect of it. And that aspect can definitely be either, like, so silly that, like, we enjoy it, or it's, like, so ludicrous that we... that happened the other day when we were... when we watched Serenity.
Serenity,
is a good example of something that I'm sure that the filmmaker had a pretty high concept.
Yeah, there's several implications left by that film that are not really addressed much at all, but they just threw a bunch of shit.
Yeah,
and
and they put a lot of big name actors and actresses in it.
Somehow, yeah.
And somehow. And try to see if it worked, but the concept definitely did not work very well.
But it still kind of does in a weird way.
But it kind of does in a weird kind of way, and that's why we like it.
Yeah, I like when movies, even if they don't succeed, I appreciate them when they're audacious enough to try something completely insane.
Yeah, and that's like a perfect example of something that's pretty off the wall and pretty crazy.
Right.
Maybe not executed to the caliber of like maybe a higher art, but it's definitely considered.
Yeah, it should. Something. It's something that it should be discussed.
So, with that in mind, we're going to be kind of going with this idea of a double feature in a way of blending those high concept, low concept pieces of film work, right?
Yeah.
So we want to rebrand this a little bit.
Yeah, and kind of approach both of them the same way.
Yeah, try to look at it objectively, not really get into the details too much of each film, because we obviously want you to see the films yourself and experience, the film and how it unfolds in, your viewing experience. Mm-hmm. But we definitely want to talk about these movies.
Yeah, for sure. And it'll be exciting to just see whatever weird random pairings we end up with, and like what discussions could come of those,
So yeah, grab a beer, grab a coffee, grab a water, whatever you do to drink and just have a good time. If you want to listen to this next 45 minutes to an hour, we're gonna tell you about 2 films that are totally unrelated but are just fantastic in their own unique ways.
Yeah, get yourself a bag of pistachios.
Maybe the shelled ones.
Yeah.
The classic ones, of course.
You got to eat it shell on. This is instructional in order to enhance your experience.
Yeah.
And then you got to get some high C fruit punch. You got to boil it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then you got to dump in a little bit of rum.
Ooh, I like that. It's hot. Let's call it hot high C rum. We'll call it.
That is what it is.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. I just defined it with the names, with the words. But yeah, those are viewing instructions. Get your 3D glasses.
Oh yeah, you'll need that.
Strap in. I can't say any much more because I feel like we're gonna get sued by some movie company if we keep saying other slogans.
Get your scratch and sniff cards out. We mailed them out just a couple weeks ago, so you should have them by now. Check your mailbox.
Grab your Boone Farms. Get your apple wine that's not around anymore, but get your old bottles out. Get those scratch and sniff markers that were kind of banned because it got people high. But definitely get those.
Yeah, so you'll need that. You should have a list going if you're not prepared.
Yeah, this is a lot of information.
If you're more of a if you need some visual stimulation, put on Planet Earth 2. Mute it though.
Mute it, of course, because you want to listen to us.
Yeah, not Attenborough.
Yeah, I mean, David's a cool guy, but I mean, we know the guy. We've met him a couple times.
What we have to say is far more important than
It's
anything
very
that
true.
guy has to say.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you've seen a David Attenborough presentation. It's the same thing.
This animal is gonna go attack this other animal. I mean, please.
This animal's in this environment, and then this one's in another environment. It's crazy, but at the same time, it's not as crazy what movies we have in store for you today.
Yeah.
So, we haven't come up with a name for this combination. I'm going to let Joey take over on this part because I feel like I'm going to slip up. And so, what movies are we talking about, Joey? What are we going to call it?
We're just this episode, the new iteration of the show, Whistling Dixies. Chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
Chapter 1. The Demolished Virgin Man.
The Demolished Virgin Man.
In springtime?
The Demolished Virgin Man in spring.
Okay.
So if you didn't catch what those 2 movies were, we have the movie Demolition Man from 1993, the classic film with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes, science fiction film directed by Marco Bramilla, who's actually his directorial debut.
He went on to direct Dinotopia, just so you know.
Another crazy movie we can talk about later. But and then the other film is Ingmar Bergman's
seminal drama, The Virgin Spring.
Came out in 1960. This is a great combination right here.
Yeah.
And honestly, I honestly don't think I could think of anything else to start off episode 1. The Demolished Virgin Man in spring.
We had a previous title in mind that was a little too
edgy.
A little too upsetting. So
it doesn't come off very well.
Yeah.
But I can assume viewers at home can probably guess what it means. What it would be.
We'll leave it. We'll
leave it to that
for you. Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about Demolition Man first?
Let's do Virgin Spring first.
Okay, cool. All right, we're going over the Virgin Spring, Ingmar Bergman's 1960 film. This is like kind of in the middle of his career.
Yeah.
He's started in the late 40s. Obviously, he ended in 2003, but most of his stuff kind of ended in the 70s, early 80s. There's a storm.
Oh shit!
There's a storm. They heard we were talking about the Virgin Spring.
So a great flood shall come.
So a great flood shall come on the earth. Joe, you want to talk a little bit about the movie? What's the setup of this movie?
Well,
I guess. Yeah.
I wanted to ask if this was kind of You've been following along with Bergman's work a little bit a little more closely than I have. I wanted to say if this is like sort of the first film he'd made that like really tackled some really dark subject matter in this way.
Definitely. I mean, I'm following the way like Criterion is set up, the Ingmar Bergman cinema, and I believe that The Virgin Spring is in the second centerpiece, so I'm not there yet. However, I know these are thematically placed, but I can definitely tell you that this was a turning point for him in a way, because I know like
it feels that way.
In 57, where like Wild Strawberries and Seventh Seal came out, which are both very like heavy existential films,
right?
But they definitely weren't of taboo subjects as much.
Yeah,
maybe so, and they definitely didn't tackle something so like kind of hard to watch on screen.
Yeah, they don't really depict anything at the level of I guess atrocity that this one does.
Yeah, this one tackles in a way kind of similar issues that Seventh Seal does, with the religious aspect of it and the different belief systems, because you're dealing with kind of Norse belief systems and Christianity.
Yeah.
That the people in Sweden and Scandinavia had to deal with growing up. And there's a storm coming, apparently.
Oh my God.
I don't know how you can catch up on all this, but you can hear
we
it in the
promise
background.
we're not just freaking out. We're not tripping.
But yeah, this one deals with a pretty hefty topic of rape and revenge. And that's the type of film this one is.
Yeah, and although those themes kind of can make the film out to be a little more, I don't know, it's a very quiet, very reserved film about that subject matter.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it is still really pretty harrowing, pretty bleak, even though it is very quiet, very modest in its approach.
Yeah, the way Bergman approaches this is in a way that, like, obviously, from a male perspective, I noticed back, obviously, going back to the, you mentioned the Ingmar Bergman cinema, like how I'm kind of watching his trajectory. In, like, with Summer with Monica and a lot of his movies from, like, the late 50s, he was definitely shifting a little bit towards women in his films, and like a kind of feminine perspective.
Yeah.
And that's something that I find really interesting, especially with The Virgin Spring, is like it's totally showing you a woman in a position where it happens again and again, and it's showing you all of, kind of just the power dynamics of, like, the ancient world and kind of the modern world in a way too. And so I think that is really interesting that Bergman tackles this concept and of just like, just gross misuses of power.
Yeah.
And physicality over somebody else.
Yeah. It's interesting how he uses that as a sort of a way to ask these questions about religion.
Yeah.
About sort of the nature of man, man's tendency to what fuels man to seek revenge, how he kind of loses morality in that sense. And as a result, it's sort of wrestling with faith, which is something that Bergman's prone to do with his work, of course. But this one just, it approaches those questions I think in a much harsher, colder way, which is fitting for, what the film sets out to do.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
You hear the storms in the background. We're definitely not timing this on purpose.
No.
But no, I agree with Joey. It's for 1960. This seems relatively early to tackle an issue like this.
Yeah.
And it definitely feels like more of a contemporary issue, or at least an issue that definitely should have been tackled a little earlier. But with the concept of Hollywood and just film in general at this time period. It's definitely one of those films that like definitely tackles a taboo subject that's not really talked about very much, either the rape or revenge side of it.
Yeah.
And especially the way it unfolds, even the religious aspect of it, I would say, is very taboo in a way. Now, obviously, the Nordic countries tackle that a little differently than, maybe America, for instance.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting seeing that dynamic of a loss of innocence, and I think that's maybe one of the biggest kind of themes of this movie is innocence, and that being for multiple characters in this movie.
Yeah, the will to preserve innocence,
and to see where that innocence can be corrupted. Damn Storm.
Yeah. How it can be taken, of course. Yeah.
Just kind of by the realities of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's some metaphors involved in the film.
Yeah.
That definitely get into the subject a little bit deeper. But it's a good movie. I mean, it's a really good movie, but it's definitely a movie that's hard to watch.
Yeah, I think it's good that it's short.
Yeah, it's only 89 minutes.
Yeah.
It's an hour and a half.
Yeah, it doesn't really, like, make you... It doesn't force you to ooh.
Power went out for here. But we're good, because we got Wi-Fi.
Oh my god, we're in the dark.
Well, we're not in the dark. We got a laptop still going, so the power is not completely out. We shouldn't be talking about the Virgin Spring, Joey.
Yeah, we shouldn't be laughing while we're talking about this.
This is not a movie, yeah. Keep coming on. Everything's good.
Oh my god.
So what were we talking about, Joey?
All of the appliances are making sounds. Anyway,
this movie, I don't want to like break Joey's concentration, even though it's already been broken a little bit. There's another storm. Oh, Jesus Christ! This is going to be a fun episode.
Shattered.
To put up
concentration shattered. That's the sound my concentration made.
You know, it's really funny.
Shattered.
Last episode when we talked about Ethan Hawke, we used Mama Hawke's episode. We used a storm background, but I think we should have filmed it. We should have recorded that in this storm, but that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it all makes sense.
I really like an aspect of this movie too about like, I know we briefly talked about religion, but like that conflict between paganism and Christianity is definitely brought up in this. So like obviously by the time Bergman was making films, Christianity has taken a pretty big foothold into Swedish society. Mm-hmm. But as most people know, and anyone who studies history or anything or knows a little bit about it, Norse mythology has been pretty vast and pretty stable in that like society and in that area for a long, long time until Christianity kind of found its way up north. And you didn't really see much of that conflict because obviously when that all went down, we don't have any recordings really much of that, nor do we have like visual media of it. But I feel like Bergman's tackling a little bit about that with this particular story. Yeah, in a little bit of a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Are we still recording?
Yes.
Okay. I just had to make sure because
I'll cut this part out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen a whole lot of Bergman's work, to be quite honest. I think I've grown to favor more of his later stuff. Like Autumn Sonata is my favorite thing that I've seen by him.
And Persona you like quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But his approach to this, sort of medieval society is really interesting, and the way that he stages these characters' moral dilemmas and sort of they're looking inward, and I think it's interesting that he sort of points his lens in that way. to sort of look back on the past with more of a confrontational
and not
objective.
like not a warmth. He doesn't have a warmth to it. It's more of like this is something we need to learn from.
Yeah.
And something that we need to approach and, definitely understand where we come from, but at the same time, very much so learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that I haven't seen it in a little bit of time. I'm really looking forward to when I get to it in the cinema box set that I have, because I can revisit it. Obviously it's definitely one of those movies that is hard to watch. Obviously based on the content we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. But I do want to at least mention some of the people who are in this movie.
Yeah.
I want to mention the cast, who I think is really, really great. Max von Sydow, who is pretty much our main character, is in The Father. He was the main character in Seventh Seal.
Yeah, and a lot of Bergman's work.
We also have, I'm probably going to be butchering these names, but Brigitte Valberg as Merida, actually. We have Gunnel Lindblom as Ingrid. We have Birgitte Peterson as Karin. And then we have some herdsmen in here, Axel Duberg and Tor Isildahl. And then we have Alan Edwall as a beggar. O Porath as a boy. He's a boy. We also have Axel Slangus as a bridge keeper. We have Gundren Brost as Frida. And we have Oscar Lung as Simon. But those are just the titular cast members. It looks like a pretty short cast. There's only 12 people in it. Mm-hmm. Or I guess 11. So
yeah, I like that it's a really small, contained film.
It's definitely in the countryside.
Yeah.
With a very small amount of cast, and the story is definitely secluded. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely something that it happens, and it still probably happens, and that's definitely something, maybe not in the same world, but it's something that is definitely needs to be told.
Yeah.
Got anything else about The Virgin Spring? That's me. That's me saying that.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I, despite the fact that it is a really taxing watch, it is one that I will want to revisit at some point, because it definitely didn't strike me as immediately as some of the other films of Bergman's that I have seen, but it is one that's, while it is a pretty short, pretty simple piece of work, it is one that is, it's quite layered. It has many things to be derived from it, and I look forward to sort of getting closer to it as time goes on.
Yeah, it's a very good film, and actually I might as well just say some of its accolades too. This movie actually won the Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars and the Golden Globes in 1961. Actually, that's really cool. I think it was the first time Bergman won anything, those awards, at least in the kind of global sense, at least in the American sense. And it was even nominated, and it won as a special mention in the Cannes Music Festival, or Film Festival. Gotcha.
It's where they get a bunch of musicians together and they're
like,
all they do is just like they hit like empty cans
and make
empty tin cans,
really crappy Whistling Dixies sounds, like I am doing right now with this terrible slide whistle. I picked the wrong one for this freaking episode.
So like when you're heading out the door of your house,
that was pretty good.
That was great.
That's pretty great.
When you're leaving for the day, you look at your collection and you're just wondering, which one should I go with for this Thursday evening? Mm-hmm. Feeling light blue, red, maybe
purple.
I
might bring purple next time. This one's blue. This one's a blue one. It's a new one too, and that's the thing I think I messed up, because this is one of the ones that. Now, to the audience who doesn't know, I bought 16 of these bad boys, drunk with my friend Ben, through Amazon, and came into 2-packs of 8 and 8. It was all for $8. It was a really good deal.
Whoa.
And anyway, long story short, I've had these for 2 months, and I've been carrying around
2 months of whistling, huh?
Whistling Dixies.
Time flies when you're whistling your life away.
We're definitely doing shameless self-promotions right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure, life does sure whistle by. Now that's the way to end the segment on Virgin Spring.
You hear that? That's what life sounds like.
That's what life sounds like. Well, I think that's a good transition.
Is
it? It's not. It's not really at all. But
fine.
Definitely check out Virgin Spring. It's definitely a movie that I feel like you need to be in the right mindset to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely take some time out of your day to watch this movie, though.
Yeah, it's essential.
It's a great film. All right, we're moving to 1993 to a post-apocalyptic world. Jesus Christ.
Fuck.
It's really loud. To a time where everybody is living in an Orwellian society with cryogenically frozen,
Nude.
You get to see his balls.
You see all kinds of...
You get to see his dick, too, his outline.
You see his cavities.
You see some outlines there. Unlike Matthew McConaughey in
Serenity.
The man we're talking about is the one, the only Sylvester Stallone.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, yo, Joey, you want to talk about the Demolition Man?
Whoa.
Then you don't get to see nude, which is a shame. We have Wesley Snipes.
What I would give
for tax evasion, who is also cryogenically frozen. But so these two, I'll give you a little bit of a background. Wesley Snipes is a crime lord, and it opens up in a gunfight.
He's a crazy motherfucker named Simon Phoenix.
He's really crazy, and
I just want to point out the opening shot of this movie. It's 1996. This film was released in 93.
Yeah. They picture this in 3 years.
Yeah, it takes place in 1996. The first shot is like a helicopter shot overlooking Los Angeles.
Yep.
The Hollywood sign is on fire, as well as pretty much
the entire valley.
Yeah, everything is on fire. It's hell in 1996.
Honestly, could you blame them? There was a
LA
lot of gang violence in the
Yeah.
LA riots. So I'm assuming some of that bled into like the mindset of where this would have actually ended.
Absolutely.
So
we haven't even gone into the future yet, but
no, not at all.
It's a dystopia at the get-go.
The get-go. So, as we said, Wesley Snipes is a crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, Simon Phoenix.
And then we also have Sylvester Stallone, who is a police officer who likes to take risks in a way.
He's the titular Demolition Man.
Oh yeah, John Spartan, LAPD sergeant. And the thing is, he is going on a covert mission to take out Phoenix.
Yeah.
And by any means necessary.
Yeah, he jumps out of the helicopter, literally screaming Phoenix.
Phoenix! Shooting bad guys left and right. Just going through all these corridors, all these explosions.
Yeah.
Taking out
flames.
Oh yeah, just flames.
Smoke.
Just really dimly lit backdrops of what everything would be like.
Yeah.
It's pretty badass.
Yeah, it's hell, baby.
It's hell, baby. But so anyway, to not really spoil the first 5 minutes, but things go wrong.
Yeah, things go really
Things go really, really wrong, and so what happens is Wesley Snipes was captured. We got Phoenix got captured. However, Sergeant Spartan got out of hand and did something.
Yeah, he demolished a little too hard.
He demolished a little too hard and killed a lot of innocents. And so his punishment is to be cryogenically frozen and seeks parole in about 50 or 60 years.
Yeah. They're gonna let him out in 2037 or something.
Or 2040s. 2040s because he gets early unfrozen, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, and so he more or less gets frozen for his for his pretty much kind of recklessness.
Yeah, he fucked up.
And Wesley Snipes, Simon Phoenix also gets cryogenically frozen and is put there pretty much in detention for the rest of his life. And so, and then we fast forward to 2032.
Yeah.
To the future.
So everything becomes a utopia in this time.
Yeah, there's no violence.
It's
really...
a pacifist society. There's no profanity allowed.
You'll get a ticket if you say anything.
You will get penalized.
You say hell, you'll get a ticket.
Yeah.
Penalized.
Everything's nice and clean. Everyone's happy.
It's honestly a very Orwellian society of things all being at least on the outside looking shiny and nice and things on the right. But we have Sandra Bullock, who is Lieutenant Lena Huxley. She is one of those kind of renegade cops. She definitely still
wants some action.
She wants action. She still follows the rules. However, she definitely curses. Definitely has all this memorabilia from like the 1990s and 80s. She got a Lethal Weapon 3 poster in the background.
Whoa,
dude, that's crazy. Got Mel Gibson, Joe Pesci, and Donald Glover in the background. Did I say Donald?
Glover.
I meant Danny. I'm gonna cut this part out. We got Danny Glover. We got Joe Pesci. I'm not cutting this part
Gambino.
out. We got the childish Gambino in there. No, I fucked up. But my point is that she's a renegade kind of cop, but she still follows the rules a little bit.
Yeah.
And she works for the LAPD, or I guess it's a combination of things. It's actually San Angeles, which is a combination of Los Angeles, San Diego, and Santa Barbara. So this utopia city is all helmed by this giant pacifist. What's his name? Is it
Giant?
Is he the main character? Is he the main guy? I'm trying to remember the guy who kind of runs the city.
I think it is Cocteau.
Yeah. Nigel Hawthorne plays a character, Dr. Raymond Cocteau, who is pretty much the head of this entire kind of society, and he kind of
sort of like a governor, maybe.
And he kind of brought the peace to this world a little bit.
Yeah.
Controlling it a little bit.
High society.
That's what we're talking about.
Right.
This is a very high society film.
Right. This is a perfect way to begin like this new direction.
Oh yeah.
Because it is about the balance between low and high society.
Oh, that's me freaking out from the storm and also just realization of what we picked.
Yeah, and that was not intentional at all.
That was not at all intentional.
So, I mean, shit.
Shit. Well, to give you a little bit of context of how the story kind of just unfolds a little bit, somehow Phoenix gets unfrozen, cryogenically frozen.
Yeah, he's like there. He gets like a parole hearing.
And
he escapes.
And he's in this pacifist society, and this guy's a crazy motherfucker.
He's a maniac running around trying to cause mayhem.
God, I love how 90s it is.
Yeah.
Just like this, the maniac that he does is like, it's almost hijink, like, I don't even know how to say it.
Hijunkus?
Hijunkus? It's like, it's all just hijinks mixed with like murder. And it's like,
yeah,
the silliest things, but at the same time.
Yeah, he's a cartoon character that will like actually like murder you though.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely will murder you and doesn't care.
Like he's goofing, but he's very dangerous.
Like you'd like to grab a drink with him, but not for very long.
No.
Not even grab a drink, huh?
Probably not.
I mean, I would. But I mean, I would just grab a drink with him. I'd be like, hey, man. And then like never try to get on his bad side and then like leave. Try to.
It's a risk.
But even you shoot me in the back probably.
Yeah.
Some capacity. But anyway, this guy's running amok now. And so the police force. Sandra Bullock and the police force don't know what to do.
Yeah. She looks into it a little bit. She looks into Simon Phoenix a little bit, and she learns about Stallone's character,
John Spartan.
And he's like, you know what? We got to get this guy back too.
Yep.
He knows him more. He knows him better than anyone else.
So might as well revive him and see what he has to say about it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where the story unfolds, and he gets...
So it's this dual fish out of water tale.
Oh.
Where, Stallone is like, what's this world we're in now? What are we doing here?
The hell's going on? You got an alert. Here's a ticket.
That was something I was expecting to grow old.
But it was perfect every time.
Because even just in the background, like Stallone will just say "damn," and
you hear something.
There's this little bam in the background, and they won't even acknowledge it or anything.
I actually love how meticulous this movie is. Like
I feel
like they really paid attention.
It's very well crafted. It's dumb, but it's smart.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, honestly, this movie is like one of those movies that just like that meticulous aspect of it is just, it's so well thought of that like they're definitely thinking of like all of the little details about it all and how like the concept works with this really simple premise.
Yeah, it's a really neat world being built in this movie. And it's a really cool juxtaposition between like these two 20th century guys and this like new, completely revamped world that completely just goes against everything that they knew in their past lives.
Yeah. And I mean, without really getting into any spoilers, this movie definitely takes some turns. I mean, you can probably guess the society's not all perfect, so I'm sure there's some detractors and some things going on behind the city, below the city, around the city, all those things. And
rat burgers,
great time. Man, a lot of great one-lines in this movie.
Yeah, there's so many like little memorable bits revolving around this future.
What about the franchise war?
The franchise wars. Oh god,
that was one of my favorite things about this movie. Or talking about the franchise war. I want to say 2010 is when the war happened.
It was like the franchise wars of 2011 or 2010.
Yeah.
Every restaurant. Well, I don't know if we want to.
Yeah, we don't have to say anything. You'll find out if you watch the movie.
Right.
But there's definitely a restaurant war. This is a franchise war.
It's solid product placement. I will say
extremely solid product placement. It's very heavy-handed and very on the nose.
It's ridiculous.
It's a wonderful film, and it's honestly it captures that 90s.
Yeah.
Kind of drive, like the very end of the 80s, because this movie came out in 93, so it's definitely still early 90s. So it still had like aspects of the 80s connected to it in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's kind of given with Snipes and Stallone and the main actors. I mean, they're big in the 80s.
Yeah.
So it makes complete sense.
I would say of that era of action cinema, like this is one of the better ones.
Oh yeah, this is I agree with that.
I think it's top shelf for this kind of movie. For like when Stallone and Schwarzenegger were like the two top dogs. Like. This movie's a real deal. Yeah.
I'd say like I mean, since maybe, like if we're saying like Stallone and Schwarzenegger, I mean, honestly, I think, Stallone was at his peak when the first Rocky came out.
Yeah, and that
like
was
76.
Almost,
in the 70s.
That was almost like 20 years earlier from when this was out.
And then like with the Predator with Schwarzenegger was in, the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And so, like, that was 87. So, like, this is some years after, like, that kind of action hype.
Yeah.
It was kind of dying down at this point.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah, it does. There's some just really neat ideas at play here. Not all of them will work for a lot of people, probably.
Nah.
But the fact that they're going for it is just, like, really, it's exciting to watch.
Yeah. So... now that we've talked a little bit about this, what are some comparisons with this and the Virgin Spring that you want to talk about?
Oh,
we got to talk about the demolished
demolished
Virgin.
The demolished Virgin Man in Spring.
Man in Spring. Okay. So obviously there's a connection there in the name. I think this is I think a theme that I just thought of is really interesting, talking about the aspect of religion and how society should be.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, when I say religion, I mean I think it's barely talked about in Demolition Man, but I feel like there's a religious aspect of it to where kind of having faith in the state, or at least faith in this kind of Orwellian state of things being in control, and like obviously having faith in something that you're really blindly following.
Yeah.
And something with Virgin Spring too, it's like where we have an aspect of one of our main characters in that movie blindly kind of going along with the tenets of this particular religion, and then something happening to counter that.
Mm-hmm.
And it challenges both in both worlds of Demolition Man and Virgin Spring. You're seeing that challenged, in a way.
Yeah.
And so that's just the theme I thought of. Interesting combination.
Yeah. I have not really thought of putting these two together in that way.
Sure.
But I think they're both interesting in depicting like what the potential of doing this show is.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
yeah, no, I didn't mean to be serious there for a second.
Well, yeah.
But like we're definitely having fun with this one.
Yeah, of course. But like we managed to find something. We managed to find a movie that like actually has like it has content.
Mm-hmm. It talks about high art in the film itself.
Exactly.
It references a lot.
Yeah.
And then we have something like The Virgin Spring, which is technically considered high art. It's a foreign film. It's an art house type of film.
Yeah.
And I mean, it won its Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it's dubbed as a high art film. So having that bridge is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's enough to just kind of make you rethink things a little. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I'm rethinking of how the world will work in the future with both these movies.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
A relic of the past meets the future that awaits us.
Uh-oh. Yeah. I have a feeling people have not listened to this part. Because they're just like, there's that storm, and then we had the whistles, and I'm like,
what the fuck?
What the fuck's going on? I think that was a good pilot episode for the new refurbished.
Yeah, it's the reboot.
The Whistling Dixies.
Whistling Dixies, Chapter 1. You want to? Let's go ahead and take a look at what might be in Chapter 2.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's look at Chapter 2. I'm gonna look up one aspect of it. You look up the other, unless you already have an idea.
We're gonna spin the wheel to decide this.
We got a nice wheel to spin for some high quality.
I wish it was a wheel, but I basically have a list of 50 contenders.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to pull up a random number generator, and we're gonna see what happens. What kind of matchups we got going on here?
I've already thought of some maybe like more high culture. Random number generator, 1 to 50.
Okay, here we go.
We got 41. All right, so 41. What is number 41?
41 is
Cruel Intentions. Oh my god.
Things are gonna get a little spicy.
Here, I have an idea now. Since we have a random number generator too, I'm gonna use my database, and I'm gonna
NMDB, Nathan's movie database.
I have a really nice movie base here. Let me see here. Why can't I think of? It's CLZ Movies. It's actually really cool little app that I use. If you have more than 100 movies and you kind of have a hard time figuring out what you have, or just want to look at something, it's a really cool app. for you. I'm just buying time as I'm trying to figure out where this is.
So,
you talk.
I'm working on it. I'm pretty excited to watch Cruel Intentions.
Honestly, I am too now. Do you have it?
No, but we'll find it. I heard recently that it actually got re-released because this is its 20th anniversary, but apparently it got re-released in only like 300 theaters and nobody went, which is a shame because that would have been great timing.
All right, so put a random number generator between 1 and 1750.
1750. Jesus. Okay.
Here we go.
1690.
We got 1690. My number 1690. Why isn't it showing it up? Oh, God. Here we go.
Oh, good.
We're doing it in a sort order. We're going to do it in the order of entry, 1690.
We're going to do it.
Let's see, what's 1690? Here we go. We're almost there. 1690 is The Handmaiden.
Oh, shit.
Cruel Intentions and The Handmaiden.
It's going to get real spicy.
The Handmaiden's from 2016. It is a South Korean drama, and it's something we're going to have to watch.
God damn. Okay.
You've seen it, right?
I have, yeah.
I haven't. I own it, though, but I'm going to watch it now. So that's it.
Whoa.
We got our two movies.
I can already think of a link between the two of those.
Uh-oh.
So
we have Cruel Intentions, and we randomly generated this. Cruel Intentions and The Handmaiden.
We promised we did. We weren't just hoping for two erotic
thrillers. Absolutely not. That's just how it worked. So, Joey, I like the direction of this new segment we got.
It's going to be pretty wild.
Well, viewers, or listeners, or whoever's out there, thank you very much for listening to the first episode of the Whistling Dixies.
Yeah. Come back next time when things get
hot.
Real hot. The Cruel Handmaiden's Intentions.
Dun dun dun.